Let's take a look at old Siggy, Sigmund Freud, okay, who's definitely had his run. It says behavior is influenced by parents, dreams, jokes, and sex. Not necessarily in that order, okay, but what does that say? This is the environment camp once again, right? Where our behaviors are products.
Many scientific researches have shown an obvious fact that the behavior of a human being is created by the environment. Genes predisposing to certain behaviors, but the environment is what triggers them. Think about the way you act, your facial expression, the values accepted by you, the way you talk, everything, and remember that all are a result from the environment you grow in. Human brain has no ability to recognize what is relevant or not.
We live in a remarkable time, the age of genomics. Your genome is the entire sequence of your DNA. Your sequence and mine are slightly different. That's why we look different. I've got brown eyes, you might have blue or gray. But it's not just skin deep. The headlines tell us that genes can give us scary diseases, maybe even shape our personality or give us mental disorders. Our genes seem to have awesome power over our destinies. And yet, I would like to think that I am more than my genes. What do you guys think? Are you more than your genes? Yes? Likewise, every connectome changes over time. What kinds of changes happen? Well, neurons, like trees, can grow new branches, and they can lose old ones. Synapses can be created, and they can be eliminated. And synapses can grow larger, and they can grow smaller. Second question, what causes these changes? Well, it's true, to some extent they are programmed by your genes, but that's not the whole story. Because there are signals, electrical signals that travel along the branches of neurons, and chemical signals that jump across from branch to branch. These signals are called neural activity. And there's a lot of evidence that neural activity is encoding our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, our mental experiences. And there's a lot of evidence that neural activity can cause your connections to change. And if you put those two facts together, it means that your experiences can change your connectome. And that's why every connectome is unique, even those of genetically identical twins. The connectome is where nature meets nurture. And it might be true that just the mere act of thinking can change your connectome, an idea that you may find empowering.
Did you all hear that question about how gender is, the issue about gender being socially created versus being biological and hormonal? Of course, I come down a bit more on the biological side, obviously, but I now believe, having come full circle and studied biology for many years, and really believing in the way, the nature-nurture debate in a lot of ways, I think, is dead at this point for the following reason. The brain is very, very malleable. We're all born with male or female predispositions, and then we'll have the hormones that increase that circuitry for behavior, which is what a hormone is supposed to do. A hormone's job is to make us predisposed to certain behaviors. However, the way we're raised, for example, little boys, studies have shown that little boys who are told they're not supposed to touch something, they often will grab it and touch it, whereas a little girl can be given a verbal demand not to touch it. Little boys worldwide are punished more frequently for transgressions. Little boys are told not to cry. Little boys are told that they are supposed to man up, right? Even at a young age. Dads sometimes are very, very scared if their little boy is making any version of effeminate behaviors. For example, I remember flying coast to coast with a guy sat next to me, and he said, his 18-year-old son, when he saw his sister open a present, earlier that week that was a purse. She'd gotten a purse. She was 4 years old. And he said, "Oh, can I have a purse too?" And he said he found himself like someone had kicked him in the stomach, and he just yelled at his 18-year-old son. He says, "No, boys don't have purses." And he was reporting to me this event, and he felt so ashamed and embarrassed afterwards because he realized the little boy wasn't expressing anything in terms of being effeminate or not. So these things, the way we raise little boys and then we raise little girls, our brain circuits are so malleable. For example, we weren't born learning to play the piano, right? You do practice, practice, practice. You can retrain brain circuits to do a variety of things. And I think all of our life we are trained, we can be gender trained to be more one way or the other. Males' facial expressions, for example, when they measure them and put electrodes on them, which they have done, and show them a grisly photograph that's supposed to make you cringe and emotional, their facial expressions versus females actually show more emotional response in the time before it becomes conscious. And right after the 1 second level when it becomes conscious, they start to freeze down their facial muscles for frowning or smiling. Females' facial muscles actually amplify and the males go down. Scientists believe that the hypothesis is that males have been trained to suppress their emotional feelings. So thanks for the question. It's a moving target for a lot of our lives, and the ways we're raised and what we're allowed to do, what boys are allowed and what boys are not allowed to do, has a lot to do with how they grow up to be men.